Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, it's time for Films and Stuff. How are you today?
I am great, Ethan. How are you?
I'm also great, and it is our weekly stream or skip segment. I think all of our listeners know the rules, but do you want to recap them quickly for us?
Absolutely. Ethan has prepared a list of shows he wants me to watch. I have prepared a list of shows I want Ethan to watch, and these are all shows that we would normally never watch. We watch at least 2 episodes of each show, and each show is selected by a random number generator. And based on those 2 episodes, we give a quick-fire review as to whether we think it's going to be a skip, a mooch, or a must-subscribe.
That's right. And until last week, Pete was riding a Las Vegas-style hot streak. and then the show Tell Me Lies on Hulu slowed him down. The house won and reclaimed a little bit of its money. But, yep. Pete, I think you're back on a hot streak, right?
Well, let's see. I watched Narco-Saints on Netflix.
I like the title.
Yep. And as we discussed, it's a good title. It's got a lot of the right SEO buzzwords in there.
That's right.
Netflix has done it again. This is another Korean drama.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so this is...
From that title, you would never guess.
Absolutely not. And it's funny because the show was recommended to me actually a couple months ago by my sister. She thought that it would be good for me to watch it and then also discuss on this podcast. Oh. And hilariously enough, here we are 2 months later.
The random number generator. She beat it to the punch.
Yep, that's right. So... the premise is you have a working class guy in Korea who is struggling to make ends meet. He supports his family, like his brothers, his sisters. He ends up, kind of getting married for the sake of convenience, as in, a wife who will help him take care of the kids and
split the
household.
Rent. Yeah.
Not even with the rent. Literally just administrative and cleaning work for the house while he goes out and does the work so that he can make enough money to do whatever he can. And you see him slowly build himself up. He starts off as a guy who's working as a waiter in a karaoke bar and as a mechanic by day who helps serve the U.S. base there. And then eventually he's able to buy the karaoke bar. He's still in quite a lot of debt, but he's able to acquire the karaoke bar. So he's working his way, but he's doing it slow and steady. It's kind of like, the old school American dream, right? Which is you start small, you take small steps here and there, and then maybe you're able to buy a house, maybe you're able to buy a business, and then you keep going. But he sees that as a bit of a slog, and he kind of wants to make money faster so that he can stop, really breaking his back.
Okay.
And so he gets introduced to a friend of his who wants to start an import business of fish from South America.
Okay.
And the reason
Chilean sea bass.
It's actually, it's Surinamese skate.
Is that a thing?
Apparently. I don't know.
Does not sound tell delicious, you why, by the way. Does not sound delicious.
So he does it. He finally goes to Suriname. He's convinced by his friend to go there to invest. So he sells his stake in the karaoke place. He sells the mechanics shop, and he basically he goes all in on this place, only to find out after that he's in there and after he started the business that people are using his shipping of skate from Suriname to Korea as a way to export drugs from Suriname to Korea. So he gets involved in the drug trade. And so I don't want to say more, but this show, 2 things. One, if you're thinking of what kind of show it is, the way I think of it is it's a mix of maybe 10% Breaking Bad, 20 to 40% American Made, the Tom Cruise movie?
I do.
And then another 40 to 50% of Donnie Brasco.
Okay.
And here's the crazy part.
That sounds like a good mix.
It's a great mix, and here's the crazy part. All true story.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's what blew me away. So I was just doing like usual, like I'm watching, I'm going to just check IMDb, and I'm going to check the Wikipedia to see like,
Do your research.
If these guys are in any other shows, etc. Turns out it's a true story. It's a mini series. It's only 6 episodes long, and I flew through all 6 episodes within like a day and a half.
But it's in Korean language, dubbed in English, or it's subtitles?
Both. But yes, I thought it was a great show, and I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a show that's A, it's short and sweet, and B, if you're in that, like semi-crime saga, a little bit of the drug trade, then this could be a good show for you. And especially because it's a true story. So you actually start to feel the tension.
Mm. And you knew this at the beginning? Like it says it on the screen, or it does not say it on the screen at all?
If it said it on the screen, I missed it. I found out Korean. Afterwards. Yeah.
When we look at worldwide entertainment or like production, of course you've got Hollywood and everything US based, right? And then of course you've got then there's Bollywood, of course, for Indian movies. Britain has a thriving entertainment practice. And then, maybe Mexico has the telenovelas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then would you say that next is Korea? Would you say Egypt? France?
I would say, So I think Korea has kind of jumped up on that list, but only because of Netflix.
Yeah.
I think the reality is that what Netflix has done is exposed an industry that was already performing at a high level. And I strongly suspect that if Netflix were to do the same in Egypt, we've lived in the region, we understand that area. But I sneakingly suspect that if Netflix tomorrow said, okay, we're going to go to Egypt, we're going to talk to the Ministry of Culture, and we're going to find 15 shows that we really like and buy the rights, and we're going to throw in a couple $100 million for like another 50 TV series, I imagine we'd get quite a few shows that would become maybe not instant hits, but would certainly become hits on a more global scale. And I can certainly say the same thing for Southeast Asia. For sure, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, and all of these kinds of places, Vietnam, they must have exactly the same thing. But because no one's really shown a light on them or given them a worldwide/global platform, that's probably why Korean seems like it's the place to be for any kind of show.
I think that's right. I guess if I had to just make some assumptions, I would make assumptions that the Korean, film and television industry is obviously thriving. They've probably got, huge national demand. And what we've seen from Netflix is 5 or so, right? We've got Squid Game. We had A Model Family. We have this one. There was one other one.
There's one about like a bunch of Korean kids who have to survive a zombie thing.
Yes.
Then, we had the movies as well, right? Parasite.
Yes,
won
Parasite.
an Oscar, right? So these are all things that, as you're saying, elevated the scene for everyone.
But if you were I don't know if there's such a position, but let's just say you're the minister of reputation for Korea, would you be a little bit concerned that it seems like most of these have a lot to do with kind of crime, violence, families barely making money, and in order to kind of get out of this debt trap, they get involved in something like this? Again, we've just named 5 to 6 that we've seen on Netflix, but they're all kind of along that genre, right?
Yeah, but to your point, again, on paper, you're right, but let's compare that to Western media. We're looking at industry where we're talking about whole-scale corruption in the banking industry. Yellowstone, where they have no qualms about murdering people in their ranch.
We are afraid of Montana.
Succession, which is Montana in New York.
Yeah.
Right? Breaking Bad, which is also about the drug trade. So think about all the ones that
Yellowstone and Arizona in New Mexico.
All the really successful, like, top 10s of the last 10 years have also been maybe not the best looking for the US either, right? Or even for the UK for that matter. Very few of them are like Bridgerton's, which is like, okay, it's like a gossipy thing. It doesn't really reflect poorly on society. You know what I mean? Very few of those shows are like that. I think the ones that are really big hits are the ones that Mad Men. Look at all the misogyny in Mad Men. Look at all the sexism. Look at all of that kind of negative atmosphere that it created too. Or not created, but depicted as well.
Oh, man. If you're ready, that is transitioning to my stream or skip assignment. Because I had a good segue. I had HBO's Euphoria. Although I knew very, very little about it, I had, just generally heard a lot of jibber jabber. It was. Even I remember watching like an interview with Tom Holland and Zendaya, and they were talking about Euphoria. He was saying like, "Hey, you got to get me like a cameo on Euphoria." I always knew that it was something on HBO. I knew that it was a little bit popular, and I knew just generally, and I'm not really sure how, that it was like a little bit explicit. It wasn't Party of Five. It wasn't, like a wholesome family show. It was a little bit explicit. And it is so there's 2 seasons out now. It launched in 2019, kind of pandemic-y time. It's been renewed apparently for a 3rd season. It's called An American Teen Drama. We know that the main character is Zendaya, who plays a recovering teenage drug addict.
God.
Which automatically. So let me dive into the good and the bad. The good, it is very compelling entertainment television. It is not boring. It's very good acting. Everyone is very attractive, but not like, they didn't just pick like the 5 like most beautiful women. Everyone kind of plays their character very well. They're all different styles, but everyone of course is very, very striking. Men and women in this show. They are supposedly in high school. It's a little bit like Industry, where the story is fine, but it's a little bit overwhelmed by the explicit drug, sex, nudity, very adult themes in here. And I have to say, no one's ever confused me with being, conservative. But even for me, I have to say it's a little bit much. I absolutely would not watch this with my mom. No way. I have to say, I don't even think I could watch it with a girlfriend. It's not uncomfortable, but it's really out there, Just watching it by yourself, it's hard to turn off because at the end of the day, we are animals, and if there's going to be a lot of nudity, it's kind of appealing to watch that, right? The content is graphic and it's interesting. I have to say it's hard to look away, just like when you drive past a car accident on the freeway,
right?
They call it the rubbernecking. It's hard to look away. You like to see carnage, and that's obviously intentional by the producers. They know what they're doing, and it's successful in that way. That being said, I'm not sure if I'm okay with it. Yes, it's a very good TV show, like in the sense that I'm interested and it's got a storyline and I'm following it and the dialogue is smart and everything. I'm not sure I'm okay with this content, though, I have to say.
On a moral basis or like on a story basis? Like in what way?
It's kind of like this backhanded thing where they're saying we're trying not to glorify something. We're trying to show, the different challenges, faced in teenage culture right now and how drugs are bad and all the negative consequences. But I have to say, I feel like it glorifies it a little bit. Even though it's saying it's not glorifying it, I mean, it is in a way, you know? All the characters end up okay, and they're all fine. And yes, there's family drama and bad relationships with parents and stuff, but I still feel like I don't think there's anyone who watches this show who says, wow, this has scared me straight. Or, wow, I'm never going to be like this. Look how terrible it turned out for all these, characters. I feel like it kind of makes us stuff in an implicit way, like, not so bad, you'll be fine, it's just a phase, you'll get through it. And a lot of these topics are like really, really, there's a lot of stuff about sexuality, and that's, I guess, life. And I don't want to be like prudish about it, but I'm just not sure if this is a show that improves society. I've read a lot about it because I had the assignment, and a lot of the supporting discussions are, well, these are really important topics in our culture, and, this show is a way to open a dialogue and make people understand. And it's hard to argue with that, but at the same time, I'm not sure that all of these things need to be just portrayed so graphically and openly. And again, I think that in a lot of ways it glorifies or glamorizes, or even, I don't want to say condones, but it kind of explains away like some of the nastier elements to things like this.
Right.
So in terms of entertainment, if I'm on a desert island and all I've got is Euphoria to watch, I'll gladly watch it. I'll probably burn through 2 seasons and I won't notice that I'm being sunburned and I'm hungry and that coconuts are falling on my head and all the other things. Just in terms of whether I want to, subject myself to this, and whether I think that I'm a better person or I'm getting anything new out of this, I think just like industry, I think I'm going to stop watching it just because I'm only watching it for, the sex scenes and for the shock value of it. I'm not sure that I like myself more when I watch that show. I'm not learning anything. I'm not learning to be more tolerant. I'm already tolerant. I'm not learning anything on how to deal with my challenges in life. I'm not learning anything new about any industry, sector, academic subject matter, country, geography, nothing. I'm not being more creative. So I feel like this is, definitely hit the algorithm on how to attract and keep an audience. I'm not going to watch it because I just don't think that it's for me. But in terms of a entertainment show, acting is great. The production value is great. The storylines are compelling and interesting. There's no wooden acting. Everyone does a very, very good job. So I have to say, as a show, I can see absolutely why it's popular, why it's gotten a lot of shows or a lot of awards. But I think it's not for me.
Okay. It sounds like what you're saying is how I feel about movies like The Joker or like I, Tonya.
Yeah.
Which is you're kind of giving a redemption arc and glorifying certain things which maybe not necessarily deserve to be glorified and or given redemption to.
Yeah. I mean, these are tough topics. I don't dismiss anyone who's ever, been addicted to drugs. I mean, that's really serious. And to be a teenager addicted to drugs, I mean, my God, I mean, I don't even know where you go with your life after that, right? I mean, it's terrible.
It could also be a discussion as to whether it's appropriate for Hollywood to kind of dictate how these discussions happen versus your parents and your family and, qualified professionals.
Yeah.
But again, look, that's not what this episode is about. That's not what this podcast is about. We're just judging it based on its artistic merits. Ultimately, if that's how you feel, that is equally important. So
yeah, I gave it a mooch. I mean, and the reason is I do think it's got some redeeming, entertainment value. You won't be bored if you watch it, but it's definitely adult content. And maybe I'd be a little bit more okay if the folks were in college. I don't know how that I justify that, but I mean, again, I am watching nudity of, I know that they're in their 20s, but they're portrayed to be in high school, right?
Right. So it's 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
kind of creepy.
I mean, maybe
and
not the
gross.
15, like 17, 18. Like, it's kind of inappropriate, right? Like,
Yeah.
I shouldn't be watching these explicit sexual escapades between people who are in high school, right? They're hypersexualized. And neither you or I are in high school, so I'm not sure if that's really representative of how it is now. I'm sure there's some truth to it, but I would expect that if you take 100 high school people, this is not representative of the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
In any case, that is my assignment. Euphoria, HBO Max, Zendaya. I give it a mooch.
Yeah, a mooch for Euphoria and a must subscribe for Narco-Saints.
All right. What does our random number generator say for our assignments next week?
You are going to be watching what is quite possibly Steve Martin's final televised or even movie show ever in Only Murders in the Building on Hulu.
I've heard of this. What do you have?
I will be unfortunately watching Pennyworth.
Why unfortunately?
On HBO Max.
Why unfortunately?
I'll tell you why next week when we do the review.
Okay.
But Batman is not the same for me as Star Wars. So when I watch Star Wars, I like to get into the nitty-gritty of other random people and the behind the scenes. I don't need to see the backstory for Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's butler, and Batman's confidant.
I have to say, I'm a little bit surprised by that. I would have thought you'd be a little bit more enthusiastic about it, but I understand the justification. That makes sense.
I think that Batman on his own is such a vital character and such an interesting character, and more importantly, even the cast of sidekicks around him, because like right now, the Batman has like the Bat Family and Batman Incorporated, so you've got Batgirl, you've got Robin, you've got the Red Hood, you've got there's like all of the different sidekicks have kind of come together to create the Bat Family. There are so many more interesting characters. I hope I'm wrong, but my current prejudice is that there are other characters in the Bat universe I would rather be focused on over Alfred Pennyworth.
I can see that. I didn't even know his name was Pennyworth. I always knew it was just Alfred.
Yeah.
Sounds like a character on Bridgerton, actually.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. That's my assignment for next week. And just to keep you guys updated, we have indeed been watching Andor.
Oh,
The 10th episode just dropped, and we saw that. And we've also been watching weekly watch parties, The Peripheral on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yes. We have to talk about those both in subsequent episodes. Do you agree?
So don't forget, leave us a comment, send us an email, aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com, tweet at us at FNS Podcast. Follow us. You'll get links every week. Ethan is diligently putting out links every week. We watch it.
Indeed, I am.
Friday, 6 p.m. London, 10 p.m. Dubai time. Unfortunately, that's 1 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. But, I'm not saying you should skip work. But if you're not doing anything or working remote...
You should skip work. We should also consider shifting. If we get some good requests, we will consider shifting, and we can do it a little bit later, London time and early morning Dubai time.
Gladly, but we need to hear from you for doing that. We're happy to do that. But yes, join us for our weekly watch parties. We're watching The Peripheral. It's awesome.
It is awesome.
At this moment, right now, it is a must subscribe for me. And I think I can speak for Ethan when I say it's a must subscribe for him as well. You
can speak for me. You do speak for me. And absolutely, we need a separate episode that's dedicated to The Peripheral, because we've watched five shows so far. And I think that we've gotten a pretty good sense of where Jonathan Nolan is going with this. But I still have a lot of questions. And there's some gaps that are either he got wrong or just haven't been explained away
fully
yet.
Explained, yes, exactly. In any case, that's it for us for this week's episode of Streamer Skip.
That is it for Streamer Skip. We shall see you next week or next episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great day, all. Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.